today we are doing run number 2 of the budget shoe rotation. So we're going to be going out in the Adidas Duramo 10s, like I said. Again, brand new, straight out of the box, tag's still on. Going to give these a go. See how these go. So yes, was it yesterday? No, Sunday. Sunday I did the first run in the Asics Jolt 3s. Again, I think it ended up being pretty much what I expected from a budget Asics. It was kind of a firm ride, durable, loads of rubber on the bottom, fairly heavy and clunky feeling shoe, but you can get up to speed. It did soften up a little bit as I got going. So this one obviously is going to be a different scenario. It's from the research I've done. It's got light motion midsoles. It should be a squishier foam. It's obviously got got full coverage, but again, it's got much in terms of thicker. It's got a thinner layer of rubber. So I'm going to see how this one goes. I'm going to go out on probably a 16k loop. It's one of my favourite loops at the minute, like a nice 10-mile loop. Give them a good test. Should be slightly further than the Asics. I did get a small bit of kind of tingling and discomfort in my tibialis anterior, which is the muscle that goes down the front of your shin. But I'm not putting that down to the Jolt 3s, the Asics shoes. I think obviously my legs were a bit jaded and I do quite a bit of hills in Bidston. So yeah, so let's give these a go today. I'll get out on this run and I'll check in and give you my first initial opinions on the second shoe of the budget shoe test. Okay guys, we're about 4 or 5k in now, so immediate initial reactions. They feel pretty good. The foam is definitely softer than the Asics, a bit more squishy, not massively squishy like you still a budget shoe. It's not fluffy or anything like that, it's just slightly less firm than the Asics was. The observations, it is a bit warmer today, probably about 5 or 6 degrees warmer Celsius. But the shoes do feel really warm on my feet. I'm wearing exactly the same socks so with the Asics. So it's not the socks, they're just running a bit warm. Getting a couple hot spots, etc. So straight out of the box, it's not unexpected, but just an observation, they're definitely running warmer than the Asics did. So yes, they're definitely running a bit hot. I don't know if it's the recycled materials that Adidas use. On the box it's kind of like safe end plastic stuff, so the upper feels a bit coarse, so I think it's like recycled plastic maybe, etc. But whatever it's made out of, it's quite it runs warm. It's maybe a bit thicker than normal mesh. So the other thing is a lockdown. I got locked down pretty quick, although it doesn't feel particularly snug for size. So I got my size 11s as normal, and I'd say they fit perfect. But I've had a bit of sock slipping, kind of riding down underneath the height of the shoe, so obviously just dragging my sock into the shoe. So They're obviously a bit spacious, although the lockdown's not quite right. I'll figure that out as I go along. The tongue's pretty thick and pretty coarse again. Not particularly squishy and padded, it's just really thick and firm, so maybe that's the causing issue. I'm not getting a tight enough lockdown. They feel pretty good though. The less rubber, I think I'm in preference of. I think I prefer less rubber up to a point. Obviously I'm used to the Hokers, which has got basically no rubber on it. Again, I'm not looking at stats. I haven't got any idea about the stats yet, but as a guess and a feel, I think they've got a slightly bigger drop heel to toe. These have than the Asics. Again, I'm just comparing them to the Asics, nothing else. But yeah, slightly squishier, fit true to size. They run a bit warm, so the ventilation is not as good, and breathability is not as good. A bit firmer with the recycled materials on top, but overall pretty good. Get a bit more run done. I'll check back in. So yeah, they don't feel as heavy as the Asics either, just another observation. They feel, again, this is all blind. I haven't looked at the stats of any of them. I haven't given myself any previous prior knowledge. I'm running in them completely blind. I just bought them at the price I bought them. Yes, I did a bit of research in terms of are they any good before I bought them, but it was more just other people's opinions on what they're best for in terms of daily training or recovery shoe, etc. So the only thing I found about these that they're softer slightly, and they're probably better for a recovery or a easy day run shoe rather than a PB setting or race shoe, which I probably agree with. They're a bit squishier. So but yeah, I haven't got any stats about weights or height, stack heights or drops, so it's just on feel. And again, I'm no expert, it's just on what my previous experience. So yeah, overall they feel pretty good though. Again, I think I picked these up for £35. I think they were RRP'd for like 49. And they've since I bought them, they've reduced even more. So I picked them up for £35. I think they've gone down to £30 now. So on sport shoes. So again, these two are the real bargain ones. I picked up these Adidas Duramo 10s and the Asics, just running past Chester Zoo. Anyone who's ever been, just cutting through the path through the middle of the zoo. But yeah, so these Adidas Duramo 10s and the Asics Jolt 3s, I got both those shoes for basically the same price as I got my Hoka Rincon 2s last year. So that's why I'm going for obviously the bargain basement. I get two pairs of shoes for the price of one. Do they last? Are they any good? Are they good enough for the average recreational runner? If so, obviously that's the way I'll be going in future. I'll be buying more shoes for a bigger rotation and working at the same price basically, rather than showing out on one better shoe, especially if it's a Hoka like the Hoka I had. It's got very limited outsole, so it wore down pretty quick. The foam's dying pretty quick. Now it's nearly done. I think it's nearly done 600 kilometers, but my Reebok, which is nearly done 800 kilometers, 500 miles, feels a bit more life in it still. So again, it's a cheaper shoe which has survived a bit longer. So again, it's all personal preference. I'm doing this just so people can see and make their own opinions. Me, in terms of value, I think it's not so much about performance. Yes, you want it to perform pretty well, but I always think durability has to come into it. If it's a cheap shoe and doesn't last very long, again, it's no good. If it's an expensive shoe and doesn't last very long, it's terrible. And if it's either of those two shoes and lasts quite a long time, then you'll be pretty happy with it. Happier, obviously, the cheaper it was. So that's just me. Kind of, what do you kind of drop in the comments? What do you class as value in terms of value for money? Do you want a really good shoe? No matter what it costs, is that value for money for you? Do you want durability? Do you want performance? Or any other criteria you can come up with? What do you see as value for money in running shoes? I think obviously perishable, probably the most perishable item within a running kit. So you've got shorts, tops, vests, running shoes, watches, but it's the most perishable item, the most used to some extent. But like say shorts, t-shirts, caps, they'll last a decade or so. Shoes that you might get 12 months out of them if you're lucky. So that's why I like durability. If I can get a full year out of them, then that's okay. A bit more would be better. So the 2 shoes I've got now, or the 3 shoes I had last year in my rotation, are still in my rotation. They're starting to fade. They're probably going the next 6 months, so I'll probably get 18 months out of them. These 3 shoes I've obviously been testing now, hoping to get at least 18 months out of these, but we'll see. Again, with the low price, they're going to wear off pretty quick and become useless very quickly, in which case it's not value to get them cheap, because you're just paying up. It's that old cliche of you buy cheap, you buy twice. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Will they last as long as an expensive shoe? Will they not? Do they perform okay? So I'm on the performance stage at the minute. They're doing okay. I'm pretty happy with them. Give it this run done. Weather's grim. I don't know if you can see me. It's getting dark pretty quick. Rain's pouring down, so I'll get a bit more run done. I'll try and check back in. If not, I'll check back in when I'm done. So yeah, so I'm running again just easy pace. I'm trying to standardise all the testing for the first run anyway. So yeah, I'm running at a similar pace to I did in the Asics. I've come on a similar undulating route. So yeah, I'm running about 5:16 average. Done a couple of 5-minute flats for Ks, a couple of slower ones obviously. Just easy on feel. Just plodding along. Cadence is probably the high 160s. So yeah, yeah, they feel pretty good. They definitely feel lighter and a bit more runnable, if you know what I mean, in terms of straight out of the box. These feels like running trainers. The Asics felt a bit cumbersome initially, a bit heavy, a bit too much rub on the outsole, a bit too firm, a bit too flat. So yeah, I'll see if they loosen up and whatnot over time. But yeah, these feel pretty good out of the box. And they probably feel good for, like, say, recovery day. A bit squishier. I'll do some strides towards the end of this run, just to see what kind of pace I can get up to, similar to what I did in the Asics. Just going to try and get home and get out of this weather. Hopefully you can still hear me. Yeah, so if you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to click the button. I say I'm just in the middle of this budget shoe experiment. My half marathon training for the first half marathon will probably start at the end of this month. So yeah, look out for all those upcoming vlogs. But yeah, I'll get some strides done towards the end of this run. I've cut the run short a little bit just because of these minor issues with the hot spots. Didn't want to be miles away and get some major issues, so I'll cut it down to maybe a 12k rather than a 16k, which is a bit more similar to the Asics run. That way I can judge on my legs feel tomorrow as well. If they're short, then is it like a protection in the midsole? We'll see. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching. Get this run finished, and I'll see everyone on the next one.